Hi, and welcome to Test Talk. I'm Ed Mobley. I'm here with my colleagues, Justin Sebastian and Justin Hankey. And many of you have seen the video that we posted. It was a 4-minute video on automated test design and execution. And we received a number of questions around that, so we figured it would only be appropriate to have a video to explain that in a little more depth. So with that, I know you were both involved with the production of the video. I mean, what are folks seeing there?
So to explain it, so the title of it is, of course, a fully automated test design and execution. So the idea is, in that video, you see everything from the design and creation of the test scripts themselves, including kind of the data within them, automatically generated, automatically uploaded to a test management tool, automatically executed, and the results automatically uploaded back to the test management tool in the end. So the idea is to create truly a fully automated capability from beginning to end, that as soon as I create the tests, they're ran, uploaded, reported on, kind of fully automated.
And again, this isn't a future vision. I mean, this is something that we're actually doing now at various clients using various tool sets. So one question might be is, hey, that video looks great, but is it locking me into some type of proprietary or licensed tool set?
Yeah, I mean, the video that we chose, the pieces that we chose to show in the video were, because those are kind of the most common ones there. It's a little bit of the art of the possible in the sense that, it demonstrates a capability and how it would work. Of course, there's different tools, different kind of pieces that can be interchanged there. And sometimes we just take some of those pieces with us, right? It just depends on the circumstances.
So let's just talk about it, end to end, right? You have an application, it's going to, we need to test it, and of course, you're going to have, business requirements, technical requirements, et cetera, right? So how does that process that was described in that video, how does it get, interjected, and really what's the life cycle of the whole process in the context of software deployment?
Yeah, so how I've used it and how I've seen it used is in most recently kind of like in a regression scenario. So you have like all these things kind of figured out in terms of scenarios, what are the processes you want to be able to automate and things like that. But sometimes it changes over time, right? So like this particular business process changes during the sprint, but I don't want to rewrite all my tests again and have to re-script all those tests and rerun all of those tests. So in the video, you can see where you put in the different inputs and kind of can play with the parameters. So you update the things that need updated and kind of trigger that process again, right? It'll regenerate all the tests with the changes that you put into that upfront design tool, and then go through the whole process automated. So I think in the video it was something relatively simple. It generated about 30 tests, but that was it with the click of a button, right? And it was executed and reported on. So if you think about that at scale, that can be a pretty significant thing.
And again, I mean, clearly at some point, right, you have to have some type of manual input to kick everything off. So what's the demarc between the manual activities and then when the automation takes over? And I think you would even off camera mentioned to me, it's like we're automating the automation, right? So how does that actually work?
That's right. So there's magic, but not all the magic, right? Like we still have to write code, right? The automated scripts don't create themselves, but I think what we're building is a framework that, as you say, you're building on this, and each time you go back in and use the tool again, now you've got a larger baseline, and there are less things that need to be automated. You start reusing it because you're effectively mapping English language to automation. You've already got a lot of that mapping done. And especially as you start building, in the case of regression, you start having a lot of common core functions, whether it's log in, log out, dashboards, things you homepage you keep landing on. So those things become more and more reusable. And so as you build on it, and you're using one of these languages to, let's say, write our requirements, you get to the point where some of those maybe write the new requirement. It's already automated. So that's where the automation of the automation comes into play.
So if I hear you right, that when stakeholders need to enumerate their requirements, I mean that would still be initially a manual activity, but if they adhere to certain standards so that it can be interpreted, that's really the demarc between the manual, somebody expressing, hey, this is what I need. It's like, okay, that's great, but if you can express what you need within this certain framework, then it allows for downstream automation. Is that a correct interpretation of it?
That's right, and yeah, you said it exactly right. And I think that's something that you probably hear in several of these videos where we start talking about linking things to business processes and critical core components in business processes. So using this tool, we're able to continue building on that, whereas in a lot of times what you'll see in what I call like an automation factory, each test script comes in the door and somebody goes and automates that test script, and then another test script comes in the door and they automate that one separately. They may reuse some of their like really core framework pieces, but they could probably reuse quite a bit of that, especially if they started stacking them on top of each other.
Right.
So we're tying all those things together in this concept where we're reusing while also giving it basically to the business if they write in that common language.
Well, and I think this is very similar to the business case for just traditional automation around a regression suite, because there is some upfront investment, and kind of like what we talked about in our ROI-based automation videos, you really got to look at, how many times are you going to reuse this, because that defrays that initial investment over a longer term. So if I'm hearing you right, this is really just an extension of that. We're just going from, okay, we've automated these particular components to really we've concatenated the fact.
Together,
yeah. So if you take requirements and you capture them in a certain manner, that allows for everything beyond that to be automated. And an example might be, okay, you have these requirements. There's a particular language construct that would come out of there are a number of industry tools that can be used to capture that. Then that could feed into any number of automation tools, correct?
Yep.
And then beyond that, when you're actually doing the execution, the reporting itself is manual, not manual, but automated, right? Did I kind of capture the essence of what we were displaying in that demonstration?
Yeah, I think so. I think that pretty well covers it. Like you said, those things can kind of be interchanged, and the idea was to really show how it could work. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of different reporting tools out there as an example. So.
Okay, good. So really, it's instead of using various practices and techniques in silos, where there tends to be a lot of manual glue between these silos, really what we're figuring out is how to automate the interaction of these silos. And once you do that, you truly have an automated approach all the way from your test design to your execution.
Yeah, I'd say one of the other benefits, we tend to think about regression being a really great place for automation, things that are more stable. In these scenarios that we're talking about, where you've built the framework and you've started to build your core functions in this framework, you really start to enter the realm of in-sprint automation, where you've got this great baseline. Now I've automated half of my business functions, and as I get new releases, new sprints, start to look at it and say, oh, well, this one, I'm just tweaking this one section here in some of my business requirements. And now instead of having to automate a whole new set of scripts or run a new set of scripts, I go back and look and say, hey, I can just go in and change this one function in my automation. And now I've effectively automated that net new in-sprint function. I can test it in sprint along with all the other pieces that are already in my regression suite.
So what you're saying is that some of the or many of the testing activities in Sprint can be automated, and then a lot of that can be concatenated into end-to-end automation, which would help build your regression suite.
That's right.
Well, good. Well, I believe that answers many of the questions that we've been receiving. I mean, the key thing again is you're not getting locked into like a proprietary approach, proprietary tool set. It's very modular.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, glad we had an opportunity here to answer your questions. As with all our videos, we will have a white paper, and there will be a link in the video description below. Again, thank you for spending time with us on Test Talk.